First name is Rod, Nee, but I go by Rod. Last name is Beem. I was born August 16, 1946, San Pedro, California, at the Naval Station there. My father was in the World War II, Navy, chief gunner's mate on the USS Arkansas. He served in, he was at Normandy, the landings there, Omaha Beach, shelled that, and then they got transferred to the Pacific, and he helped shell Okinawa, Iwo Jima, and the islands over there. My mother, who my father met in New York City, she was from Germany and got over here just before the war broke out. Her parents had came earlier. I graduated in 1964.
Okay.
After graduation, I went to Northwest Missouri State University in Maryville, Missouri. At that time, I had my deferment to go to college, and I knew as soon as I got out of school, I would be ready to go and have to be drafted. There was conversation, and some of the guys were going in, but to me, I wasn't overly concerned at that time. I just wanted to get my education degree done and move forward as well as I could. I went to New York City. My grandfather lived there as a jeweler. While I was there in February of '69, he passed away, and then I was there and I got my draft notice. So I came back and had about 2 months to kind of mess around and do some things, and I was drafted and went in June of 1969. So that's kind of, just worked in summers and did as well as I could to make money to go to college. I was drafted in June of '69, left Winterset, Iowa, and went to Fort Des Moines for the swearing in. We did not have a choice. We either went Army or Marines. They just indicated so many are going to go Army, so many are going to go Marines. They just counted us off, and I ended up just in the Army. My MOS was 11 Bravo, infantry. Left Fort Des Moines, took a plane ride to, I think, Dallas, Texas, and then over to Fort Polk, Louisiana in June of '69. That's where I took my basic training. Following basic training in June, July, August. In August, we went to North Fort Polk for advanced infantry training, which was called Tigerland at that time, probably still is to this day. And so we knew we were going to be going to Vietnam at that time since we went that direction. I was always amazed that out of basic, a lot of us that had college educations, we got infantry, and some that had high school and no education were truck drivers and cooks and personnel or clerks like that. So they probably knew, in my estimation, they knew that we were going to be 2 years and done and wanted to go with our life, so we got the infantry. Tigerland was designed to get you ready basically to go to Vietnam. We had training in mock villages, Vietnamese villages that we had to go in and search and destroy in a sense and do that. A lot of physical activities. We were 50 caliber machine guns, M60 machine guns, laws, grenades, and everything we might have to use at that time. Pretty well restricted. We couldn't go off base at all. And we're just getting us ready to go over there. And some of them, after Tigerland, went down to Panama for some jungle training. The buddies, 2 or 3 buddies that I had, we were going to go to Fort Benning, Georgia for jump school and NCO school. The funny thing that happened to me, the week before Tigerland was to be over and go on, we had a weekend pass finally. I went with a good friend to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was from there. Ron Bajwa was his name. He was our platoon sergeant and our platoon leader in basic training. We went to Tigerland together. Went down there, and while we were down there, we had a good time. And on the way home, he was driving. We had a car wreck. I broke my jaw. So as a holdover, I was at Fort Polk Hospital for 2 months with a wired-up jaw. So when I got out of that, I was a holdover, and I worked at battalion headquarters because they knew I could type. I could type at that time, so I worked there with the battalion commander as a clerk typist till February of 1970. About the end of January, my staff sergeant said, "We're tired of you being here. You're going to go to Nam." So I got my orders to go. So I went over to Vietnam in February of 1970 with 11 Bravo. We got there in the middle of the night, put us on Army buses, I guess sort of like a school bus now, but they had wire wire around, no weapons, no nothing, land at Benoit. And then we had to go from there to Long Binh, and no weapons, and they had wire on the sides of the windows, and they said we had to go through a village, whatever it was, probably some part of Benoit, I presume, and it said that the last group got hit, so we were told to be ready for anything. So that was scary, because we didn't have anything to protect ourselves with, just ourselves and whoever the guard was on the bus at that time. But I do remember it was hot and sticky, and the odors were not good at that time. So when we went to Long Binh, that's when they gave us orders that we were going to the 1st Cav. And we were kind of in a holding unit until we had to get our orders to go to whatever location we'd be at. While we were at Long Binh, we had full perimeter guard duty, and we would go out. We had claymore mines, starlight scopes, M16s, M60s on bunkers, and we had an area that we had to watch. I do remember 2 or 3 nights out there, we got hit with some recoilless rifle fire, some mortars on the perimeter area, and we had to wait there until they got that all cleared before we could go back. And while I was there, I pulled guard duty at the front gate, so to speak, and had to check people's passes in and out, and the Vietnamese that were working there, so I did that. I also told people that I could type, and I got to know some of the company clerk that was there. Can't remember his name, but I told him that. So he said, well, as soon as something happens, and maybe we can get your MOS changed. And the company, or the battalion commander at Fort Polk that I worked for, said they would send a letter, forwarding a letter that I was good at personnel work and clerk typist. So it might take a while to catch up to me, but I would then be able to maybe get out of the infantry and into change my MOS. So actually I never served in the field per se. The letter caught up to me, and I showed it to the company, the guy that I knew, and he said, okay, we're going to send you back to Benoit, change your MOS to personnel specialist. After I got my MOS changed, my orders would go to division headquarters for the 1st Cav at Phuoc Vinh, which is in the Parrot Peak, or northwest of Saigon there. I was assigned to G1, and I was called, in a sense, a casualty clerk. Company clerks from the field would call the office that I worked in. There's 3 or 4 of us. I had the night shift, and they would tell us how many guys that got wounded, how many were killed, how many had went back to the States, how many were in R&R, et cetera, and then I had to get that report ready for my commanding officer to take to the general, so they knew how many replacement troops they needed. So I did that, and starting in, I think I got there in, let's say, March of '70, and I did that until I got out. Getting the reports from the company clerks that would call in, I always looked to see if anybody that I was in basic training with was on that list. Always a concern, especially the guys that I was close to in basic training and AIT and my buddy there. But I never saw them, which was very fortunate for me. I do also know that our division headquarters camp got hit very regularly with rocket attacks and mortar attacks. And so even though I was in hopefully a secure place, there's always that possibility that I would get hit, which I did get hit eventually. And I know one night, the hooch that I lived in got hit by shrapnel, and the room I was in took the majority of the shrapnel, but I was at the office at that time, didn't get hit, so I was pretty lucky that time. And the other time when I did get wounded, rocket came in, and I was walking from one office to the other, and just about another 3 feet less, I would have been not here. So the building took most of the shrapnel. I got to the bunker, and the guy said, "You're hit." And I said, "No, I didn't know that," So, adrenaline was going. I got shrapnel in my arm. It was all rare, very minor, but still enough that they sent me to the aid station at the base camp, and the guys looked at me and said, "Okay, you got hit," and they gave me a shot and dug in there and said, "Well, it's in there, we'll leave it there," and sewed me up and said to get a couple days off. So that was it. Another guy got hit, and he had some shrapnel on his back, and another individual was killed where the building got hit with another rocket. So yeah, I was pretty lucky. I started out on the night shift, like from 7 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning, taking the reports in. The hooch that we lived in was just an open area, but when I got there, it had already been used. My room was already used, and we had ammo boxes with sandbags to kind of make it individual instead of just a big bay area. But I'd work at night and go home and sleep for a while, 4 or 5 hours at 6, get up, go eat chow, and just hang around the hooch for a while until I go back to work. And I just walked to work. It was about 7, 8 blocks from what you'd say today. Went around with one of the guys I knew, Ron Rector from Wisconsin. He was a Jeep driver, so we around the base and saw some things and took some pictures there. So really kind of mundane. Did see some USO people that came in to entertain us, and we had Vietnamese bands that came, and we could go to movies. Had a nice PX, and so it was. Like I said, it was really pretty secure, pretty safe. Couldn't complain. Food-wise, the enlisted men's mess was okay. However, at the office where I worked at, the officers' mess was a lot better. So in the morning we could go over there and have real eggs and real bacon and real stuff like that. And the officers, about every night, they cook steaks at the building. So we would have steaks and beer and whatever we needed there. So the food was good. I couldn't complain about the food one bit, yeah. Mom and Dad would write me quite frequently. My grandmother would write me. Both grandmothers would write me. I had Mom had a cousin that would write me. So I got a lot of letters, very good. And one nice thing about it too, Winterset, if you were over there, you got the daily or the weekly newspaper called the Madisonian sent to you. And we also got the Sunday paper from the Des Moines Register sent to us. And while I was over there in 1970, that's when Madison County moved one of the covered bridges from the country into Winterset, and I had that picture of them moving it on my wall in my hooch. So it's kind of something about home. Yeah, and I got a Christmas tree for Christmas from the family to have over there, so it was nice. The amazing thing about it is I left Vietnam Christmas Day 1970, so I only spent 10 months in Vietnam, and I had an early out. Richard Nixon was bringing troops home at that time, and if you had enough time in country and time in service, you could get an early out, which I did, so I went back to school. So that was my reason to get out. When we landed in San Francisco, Travis Air Force Base, we went back to get our discharge papers and get our pay to come home. Had our dress greens on. We came home, and I don't remember if I came home in fatigues or not, but we got dress greens, and they said when you get to the airport and going home, just walk through it. Don't acknowledge hardly anybody. We got called baby killers and spitting on and stuff like that from the people in the airport, from some people in the airport. And so they said, just go to your gate and get on your plane, get out of there. And that's what we did. So after that, I got Christmas of 1970, and about 3 weeks later, I was back in school at Northwest Missouri State for my master's degree. Basically, it was just back to the world and doing what we had to do, which was kind of amazing. Thinking back on it, 'cause my dad was in the Second World War, and they had reunions all the time with shipmates. Every 3 years at least, and I remember going to those a couple times with him, meeting some of his friends. But when we came back, we just went our separate ways. The family background is there, and served when we needed to, served when we called to do that, so I felt proud to do it. Yeah. I did what I had to do. It's, the freedom of the country and the loyalty of the country, everybody should be doing it.